Auzubillahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. This is Ghazala Amin with PRM700, Advanced Project Management within your MSPM course. We have been moving along at a very good, steady pace, working our way through the different project phases. We covered the 5 phases of the project management life cycle. We looked into detail the initiation phase. We spent a lot of effort and energy on the project planning phase. Then we moved on to the execution and the monitoring phases, and then spent our time on the closure phase, emphasizing the importance of that particular phase also. We've covered a lot of knowledge areas, and now we are moving on to some of the remaining knowledge areas. Just because they're down on the list does not make them any less important than any other knowledge area. Today's lecture and then the next lecture will be focusing on project quality management. Just like the name says, project quality management. Obviously, we are almost at the tail end of the lecture delivery in this group, but project quality management has its own importance and its own role in the life of the project. So with that, moving on. For the project quality management, the reference material that I am suggesting will be the Guide to the PMBOK. That would be the chapter 8. Focus on study notes for the purpose of this particular class. Obviously, more you read, more information you get, more rounded off personality you will have, more rounded off information and education you will have in project management. But for the purpose of this class, I would suggest that you focus on the study notes. Dr. Kerzner's book, chapter 23. Spend your time wisely. Try to read through this chapter. It will give you a historical perspective of where we are, how did we get to this level from quality aspects, and what is the importance of quality in today's age. The project triple constraints. I kept showing you a little picture of this triangle. The triangle is the project. The 3 nodes of the project are, we can call it the constraints, we can call it assets. I like to just call it the limitations or the boundaries that gives the project manager an edge or some way to compare what was planned versus what is in actuality happening. So the scope or the requirements, cost, time, and the schedule. And then you would see a continuous movement of another knowledge area, and which is the quality. This is change in the modern project management. So quality now has a center spot in this little triangle of project boundaries. While we are trying to meet and exceed customers' expectations by meeting the originally defined scope, or meeting the cost target, or meeting the schedule target, all is done within the predefined notion of meeting quality standards. Within the project quality management knowledge area, what are we expecting to study, or what should we study? Obviously, the whole world is open. Project management quality knowledge area has really erupted in a lot of information. But if we want to focus our attention, then we need to understand the difference between quality assurance and quality control. These are 2 of the processes in this knowledge area. Then the cost of quality. We also need to know the statistical concepts and the quality tools. Project quality management has a lot of tools and techniques, and some of these we are only going to focus on 7 of these tools and techniques. All will talk about different manufacturing kind of tools and techniques, focusing on the different manufacturing tools and techniques, will have a strong focus of statistical concepts. Then we need to focus on cost trade-offs. What would be total quality management conversation without the three gurus, the Crosby, the Deming, and Juran? We would like to focus our attention and at least at a very high level give you the concepts that gave them the title of gurus in project quality management area. We would like to focus also our attention to Pareto and fishbone diagram. The fishbone diagram, or Ishikawa, is a tool used as a cause and effect diagram. I would like you to underline this concept and highlight it, because you will continuously be asked to produce this during this class and even beyond that. Within the project quality management, the key definitions that you should know and should be accustomed to would be the control charts, the cost of quality, Pareto diagrams, the three processes, the quality assurance, the quality control, and the quality plan. We also need to know what a quality policy is. Then the quality planning and the word total quality management. Let's start off with giving you a little historical perspective, the quality movement. After the Second World War, we kind of started the world of inventions. We were intrigued. It was not after, but during that post. We were intrigued by every other invention that came into the market. It was definitely the world of invention. The TVs, the aeroplanes, the helicopters, the tanks, a lot of defense and military inventions, different type of clothing, different type of plastic toys, remotes, microwave ovens slowly and gradually moving, telephones, slowly and gradual movement into cellular phones, refrigerators, deep freezers, automobiles, motorbikes, scooters, fancy toys, appliances, some electronic appliances, household appliances, instruments, tools. We were totally awed by the amount of things that we started seeing, and each one of those inventions felt like we had to get it, obtain it. There was no focus on quality. If you could invent it, you could sell it. Slowly and gradually the times passed. Over the years, if you look at where we are now, we are living in a world of innovation. Innovation with emphasis on quality. From invention to innovation. If you can invent it, you have to make sure that you can also sell it. So invention plus commercialization is innovation. And you cannot sell everything that you can create. You have to look at commercial aspects of it. You have to see if there is an audience or a group of buyers who would want to purchase this invention. So think of the quality movement and think of the ages where we were in about 1960s time frame. The quality is defined by the customer. So now we started thinking of customer. We started appreciating and we started thinking of what the needs of the customer are, and not just the stated needs. We started trying to meet or exceed customers' expectation, because we were trying to please this group of people who were paying us money to do work as customers. During the quality movement, we also started linking quality with profitability. Profitability meaning more money for your effort. We started thinking that quality is also a competitive weapon. Better quality product, more market you will have, more buyers will be attracted to your product. Now, quality has become an integral part of strategic planning process. So now we are actually looking at quality as an integral part of strategic planning process. If you want to stay in the market for years to come, you have to invest in this knowledge area which is called the quality. Quality requires an organization-wide commitment. So, if at an organization level we have the vision and mission to do better and stay in the market for much longer than our competition, then we know that we need to invest in training our employees at all levels. We need to invest in better raw materials. We need to invest in placing our organization at a level which is escalated or elevated than others in the same field. So two things that are important in the quality movement: that it has to be part of the strategic planning process, that we have to think of investing now so that we stay in the market much longer. And second, it's training and commitment at all levels, more at a higher level than at the lower level of management. So what is quality? The definition of quality is the totality of characteristics of an entity which bear on its ability to satisfy the stated or the implied needs. Again, when we talk about meeting or exceeding the stated or the implied needs of the customer, this is where we are talking about the triple constraints and then the quality which is continually at move in the middle of the project boundaries. And we are defining quality as a total characteristic of any entity. It could be a product or a service. And the main target and the aim of having improvising quality within the product or the service is the ability to not only satisfy the stated need but also the implied need of the customer. One thing that we need to identify at this point in time is that quality is not excellence, quality is not luxury, quality is not prestige, and quality is definitely not grade. So, quality is not either one of them. Quality is our ability to understand and try to meet and exceed customers' stated or applied need. Goals of quality program: customer satisfaction. Customer is always right, customer comes first. These are the slogans during that quality movement, और अभी तक वही हम लोग continuously use कर रहे हैं. जब आपके project priorities में कोई conflict आ जाता है and you are working along with a lot of stakeholders, priority in that conflict should always be given to the customer. आपके स्पॉन्सर्स भी आपको कुछ बातें बताएंगे, आपके प्रोजेक्ट टीम मेंबर्स भी आपको कई इशू रेजोल्यूशंस देंगे, आपके पीयर्स या वेंडर्स या सब कॉन्ट्रैक्टर्स भी आपको इशू का रेजोल्यूशन देंगे. But if you have informed customers, the resolution or the implementation of that resolution, whatever the customer needs and suggests, should be given a higher priority than everybody else. So, in this case, customer is considered to be right and customer always comes first. If you don't want to follow what the customer is suggesting, then you should be in a position as a project manager to explain the repercussions of implementing that solution and come up with a better solution that always need to have a customer buy-in. Happy customer, informed customer always comes first in project management. So the first bullet is customer satisfaction. The customer's feeling about a product or a service. How does the customer feel about it? I have a cell phone which has a lot of functionalities, but one important thing is that I am on the road most of the time because I'm a marketing person. And I have to carry a charger, and most of the time my phone is discharged. Will I feel happy about this product? Most probably not. I need a phone for making calls that need to stay with me in a charged state almost all the time. I am going to pick a phone that stays charged for longer period of time. Even if it is a phone with less functionality. That is how I feel about the cell phone that I use. So, customer satisfaction. Next one is the fitness for use. The product or the service is capable of being used. Fitness for use. Again, we are working in stated or implied needs of the customer. अगर मुझे पहाड़ी रास्तों पे चलना है और मेरा घर किसी ऐसी जगह पे है जहां मुझे पहाड़ी ऊपर नीचे चढ़ के जाना होता है और मैं एक CNG रन छोटी मेहरान को ऑप्ट करता हूं, तो हो सकता है कि I am going to run into situations which will be very difficult for me to handle. So, my needs are very different than somebody else who lives in the urban area of Rawalpindi, very congested, small distances to cover, basically flat land, where the need for having a smaller car with less consumption is more important than being able to go up and down the mountainous trail. So, fitness for use. Is the product or service capable of being used in the environment that the customer is trying to use that product? Next one, conformance to requirements. The condition of the product or service in relation to the customer's requirement. Customer की जो requirement है, क्या मेरा product या मेरी service उसको मीट करती है या नहीं. So goals of quality program are 3. सबसे पहला, customer is right, customer satisfaction. Fitness for use, stated or implied needs of the customer. And then conformance to requirements. The condition of the product or service in relation to the customer's requirement. Again, मेरा जो product या service है, is it conforming to the requirements of the customer? इन सारी बातों में जो वर्ड सबसे ज़्यादा यूज़ हो रहा है वो वर्ड है कस्टमर. And goals of total quality program, the total quality management, focuses on the customer the most. Quality gurus Mr. Deming, Juran and Crosby. 1960s वगैरह में जब हम monopolistic era में रह रहे थे, especially in the western areas, United States of America, that was the world of invention जो सबसे बड़ी और ज़्यादा लोगों को जमा कर सकता था, monopoly create कर सकता था, वो बड़ा businessman था, वो ज़्यादा बड़ा capitalistic था. And they never had to focus on the customer's need. They did not have to focus on improving the work organization. They did not have to think about efficiency. They did not really have to think about effectiveness. And above all, they really did not have to think about stated or the implied needs. They ran a monopoly. That means if you're looking at a vehicle, you would probably go for a Ford Motor Company's vehicle or a General Motors vehicle. During those days of abundant resources in some ways and having a monopolistic view of the world, that means I should own it all and nobody should be able to compete with me. If I become so big, I am going to capture the market and keep it captured. In that mindset, people like Deming, Juran and Crosby started preaching things like improve the quality, work on effectiveness, work on efficiency, think of better raw material, good things in, good things out, garbage in, garbage out. If you do not focus on training, if you do not change the mindset, then your end product will be lousy. These are some of the basic core concepts of Deming, Juran's and Crosby's. And they couldn't sell these ideas very well in the United States of America at that point in time. So they took their concepts and ideas, and most of them covered the waters and went to Japan. Japan was readily listening to these ideas, and Japan was also working in the world of innovation. One of the most popular quality improvement guru, Deming's cycle for improvement. He took his ideas and implemented them in Japan. And where are we now? At that time, he may not even have predicted that General Motors and Fords will be taken over by Toyotas and Hondas and Suzukis of the world. What did Japan invested in? Taking the technology and improving upon it, making it effective, making it efficient, reducing the size of it, making it economical. Luxury is not quality. Grade is not quality. So, with that mindset, what did Deming preach? Deming basically preached for 4 things. And if you notice that it's a cycle and it keeps going. So, it's a continuous and continual movement of planning, doing, checking and acting. So Deming's cycle for improvement consisted of 4 targets: plan, do, check and act. And it's a ball, so there's a continuous movement of it. It's not a one-time planning, one-time doing or checking or acting, but it is a continuous and continual movement. You always start off with objective methods. tangible, smart. You train and you execute. You check against objectives how these methods are being executed and then acting upon it. Immediate remedies for future actions. So the Deming cycle for improvement is plan, do, check, act, plan, do, check, act, and then continuing to go on during the entire project life cycle. The next important name is the Dr. Juran's quality philosophy. Juran is more famous for his trilogy, 3 things. He believed in quality improvement, planning, and then controlling those tasks and activities. Juran also focused on manufacturer versus the customer views. So I am the producer, I am producing something. I have to look at my customer views. How does my customer perceive this product or service? So focus on adherence to specs versus fitness for use. So customer is always right. Worry about customers' views. So Dr. Juran's philosophy is manufacturer versus the customer views, adherence to specifications versus the fitness for use. The next important bullet will be the legal implications of quality. If you do not adhere to quality, then you can put yourself into legal trouble. The warranties and the guarantees. If you do not focus your attention on it, you do not invest in quality, you do not follow the right processes and the procedures for implementation of quality, then you can run yourself and your organization into criminal, civil, appropriate corporate actions and warranties and the guarantees, and you pay for it. So if you don't pay for things up front, you will eventually pay for it. And paying for it later, we know, always is more expensive than staying up front and planning out things. So in this particular slide, we need to focus on Juran's trilogy: quality improvement, planning and control, focusing on the fitness for use versus the adherence to specifications, manufacturer versus the customer views, and then the legal implications of quality. Mr. Crosby had 4 absolutes of quality. Quality means conformance to requirements. So according to Crosby, quality means that you conform to the requirements. And now Crosby is saying that whatever the specifications is, you stay within the boundaries of it. Quality comes from prevention. You can highlight this and understand that the whole total quality management or movement focused on prevention versus inspection. That means you should prevent issues rather than focus on inspection. That means after all is said and done, you pick out quality issues. You don't let quality issues take place, so eventually you will get rid of your inspection process. So total quality movement or modern quality movement focuses on prevention versus inspection. Get rid of inspection. Don't let the issues run into your product or your service. Crosby also deals with something and talks about zero defects. Well, in this world and age, we know that there is no product or service with zero defects. But according to Mr. Crosby, if you focus your attention to staying within the specifications and you focus on your processes so that all is prevented, then eventually there will be zero defects. That means the product or the service that is ultimately delivered will have no defects to begin with, and hence eventually inspection process will be eliminated. The next one is quality is measured by the cost of non-conformance. वही वाली बात है कि अगर upfront नहीं invest करेंगे तो eventually you will have to invest in quality, और जो cost of non-conformance होगी sometime is more expensive. आगे चल के हम बात करेंगे conformance and non-conformance की cost पे. But at this point in time याद रखें कि quality also needs more money and needs investment of time. Time eventually being money also. So Crosby's 4 absolutes of quality is conformance to requirement, prevention is better than inspection. If you improve your process and adhere to original specification, then your product will have zero defects. And then quality is measured by the cost of non-conformance. At this point in time, अगर हम quickly summarize करके review कर लें before moving on. Deming was Plan, Do, Check, Act. Continuous and continual movement. Juran was Juran's trilogy. Quality improvement, planning and control. Manufacturer versus customers' fitness for use. फिर Crosby, 4 absolutes of quality, और center stage for Crosby was zero defect, prevention is better than inspection. The cost of quality एक बड़ा important concept है. जब हम quality की बात करते हैं तो quality doesn't come free. Quality requires training, quality requires investment, not just money investment but time investment. Mindset changes. You always will have resistance to change. And when you're improvising quality in your product, you actually have to fight that resistance to change. So, 2 things. एक तो ये हो गया सबसे पहली बात कि the real cost of poor quality. All costs resulting from something not completed correctly the first time. Do it right the first time. That means कि अगर आप मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में हैं तो आप prevent करें issues from getting into the prototype or the product. अगर prevention has taken place in all aspects of manufacturing processes, then the ultimate product or service will have zero defects, and at that point in time you will have no need for inspection. The real cost of poor quality, अगर आपने शुरू से ही कोई चीज नहीं सही डेवलप की है, obviously you're going to pay for it. अब टाइप्स ऑफ क्वालिटी कॉस्ट की अगर हम बात करते हैं तो वो 4 हैं. So the 4 types of quality cost will be, the first one is the internal. The internal quality cost will be defects that exist in the product prior to shipment. That means कि आपका प्रोडक्ट अभी इंडस्ट्री में है, ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में है, और आपको पता चल गया है कि ड्यूरिंग द एंड यूजर ट्रेनिंग या टेस्टिंग और थ्रू the ranks that the product has a certain defect or has certain defects. Those are considered the internal quality cost. अभी कस्टमर के हाथ में नहीं गई है चीज़, मगर टेस्टिंग के ड्यूरिंग या इंस्पेक्शन या प्रिवेंशन assurance के during you find out that there are certain number of defects. That is considered the internal. अभी internal to the organization है. Next one is the external. That means that the defect exists in the product after shipment. हमने थोड़े बहुत टेस्ट किए. Either there was an oversight or we couldn't catch a certain number of defects and the product has been shipped. Now what happens? It's a cell phone that doesn't work. It's that pen that in winter conditions refuses to write. It's that refrigerator that during the summer months or because of load shedding refuses to work, gives up. ये जो defects हैं, because of the kind of tests that were performed on them, हो सकता है हमने while the refrigerator was being manufactured, we did not think of some of the conditions or the areas or the countries that we will be in ultimately exporting those refrigerators. We never tested it in the extreme conditions or extreme weathers. So it's actually now in the hands of the customer. और अब एक बहुत important चीज हो रही है. Customer's perception about your product. Customer calls to fix the product. You're sending the team, your organization's cost of sending the team for meeting the warranty or the guarantee portion. Or sometimes, in extreme cases, total recall of the product or replacement of the product at the customer site. This is considered external. Defect exists in the product after shipment. If we move on, the next one will be the appraisal, the cost incurred to determine the condition of the product. This is when you would actually be spending money or incurring cost to send people on site, to have call centers, to actually have representatives at different sites and different conditions. And if it's a global market, then you will have to go out and have your customer representatives in different countries. Last but not the least, we will talk about the prevention cost or prevention type of quality cost. This is the cost incurred to reduce failure and the appraisal cost. Trying to prevent it now from happening. So you are actually going to go out and could possibly do a recall. Could voluntarily go out and fix the issues and try to find out who the customers were. Even before they have complained to you, you may try to go out and fix the problem. So the four type of quality cost would be internal, external, appraisal, and then the prevention cost. हमने हमेशा बात की कि quality is not free. Quality is also not cheap. दो चीज़ों की बात की थी. You need to have strategic vision to stay in the market. That means आप रहना चाहते हैं market में, you have to develop that credibility with the customer. You want your product to have the word reliability attached to it. So you want to have that marketplace and you want to invest in quality to stay in the marketplace. अब हम बात करते हैं conformance versus non-conformance की. या तो आप upfront पे करें या आप बाद में पे करें. Conformance of quality, कौन सी चीज़ें आती हैं जिसमें cost आती है? When you want to, or you have a strategic vision to conform to quality, you as an organization would want to invest in planning. You know that time spent now on the drawing board is less costly and more reliable in the planning phase than in the execution phase, where you're trying to troubleshoot or trying to prevent fires. और actually उस वक्त जब हम जा रहे हैं तो सिर्फ एक इशू नहीं होता है, हजारों इशू आपके साथ चल रहे होते हैं. So you know as an organization that you have to spend time in the planning phase of the project. Training and indoctrination, that you have to training of not just the top management or the low level management, but this is training of the entire organization. एक बहुत बड़ा important point है in quality training, that the whole group of employees need to be trained on quality aspect, not just the upper level or mid level management, but every individual in the organization needs to be aware of quality processes. Product design and validation, वही वाली बात है drawing board पे, spend your time and effort so that, and prevention versus inspection. And not just the product design validation, but the process validation also. You are validating and you are verifying that the process is right. The handshake from one group to another is defect free. Under the conformance, you also realize as an organization that the testing and the evaluation time is not useless time. It is time well spent, and it is the testing aspect that has to be done. You're trying to meet the target or the end delivery date, but you cannot meet the target by cutting back on the testing time or the validation time. Under the conformance and the quality, you are making sure that quality audits are taking place. If it's an internal audit or the external audit, all is taking place. For manufacturing products, the maintenance and the calibration is also as important as any other work that is going on. Then the field testing. You go out and test your product in different varying conditions. You go out and do end user testing. How will my product or my service be used and utilized? Will it be able to meet the demands of the customer? And customer always being right. अगर आपने upfront इन चीज़ों में पैसे नहीं खर्च किए for quality, then you will have to pay under the non-conformance. If you don't conform to quality aspects, then you have to pay under non-conformance. और non-conformance में क्या चीज़ें आ जाती हैं? Scrap, total breakdown of the product, it does not work. Rework, project खत्म हो गया, product निकल गया, service is in the market and it does not satisfy the customer. You would have to bring it back and then rework on it. Bring back the data, look at different aspects, try to fix things, and remember, fixing is much harder than creating. अब क्या होगा? Now there is additional material cost to you. You will also, as an organization and group, fall in the traps of warranty repairs. You would have to establish now call centers and situations where they will be handling complaints. And an angry customer, dealing with an angry customer, takes up much more effort than the effort of fixing things prior to being delivered to the customer. Just with the complaint handling, think of the liability judgments also. So, what did Mr. Juran was thinking It's the legal implications. So the liability judgments. If all else fails, product recalls. We've heard of product recalls in a lot of developed nations, where the whole automobile had to be recalled, a particular toy had to be recalled, and now you're paying for collecting this product from all over the world, and not only just collecting and reimbursing them for the value of the toy, now you're also paying for shipment back. You're also paying for the warehouse, inventory. It's a nightmare for any organization. Organization collapse under any product recalls. Then the field service, sending repairmen door to door trying to fix issues with products, and then expediting. With all this from project quality management aspect, ये सारी हमने बात की total quality TQM के. With that scenario, if we focus on the project quality management focuses on all the processes required to ensure that your project, the temporary endeavor to create a unique product or service, meets the stated or exceeds the stated or the implied need. So according to PMBOK's definition of project quality management, the processes required to ensure that the project will satisfy the needs for which it was undertaken. एक आपका स्कोप हो गया, कस्टमर ने आपको बताया कि आपको क्या प्रोडक्ट चाहिए, कि कस्टमर को क्या प्रोडक्ट चाहिए. Well written scope statement. Then you went into the planning phase and you identified and defined the cost and the time. How much money will it take? How much time will it take? And within those limitations, you will make sure as a project manager that your project will satisfy the needs for which it was undertaken, and that is the quality of the project. According to PMBOK, there are 3 processes under the knowledge management area. The project quality management focuses on 3 processes. First one is the quality planning, quality assurance, and quality control. Under the initiation phase, there was no need for planning quality. You are just identifying the stakeholders and you are taking all the data from the customer and putting it in the charter document. So during the initiation phase, customer is identifying the needs, telling what is happening, what needs to be happened, what kind of product or what kind of service it's looking for. But one thing is pretty clear in the initiation phase, even though there is no process, that is your opportunity or your project organization's opportunity to look beyond the stated need. The word implied need, that would be one opportunity from the project organization structure to find out the implied need for the product or service by the customer. Your charter document has a scope statement which gives you the stated need, but has no space for implied need. That is something that can be done by questionnaires or surveys or frequent meeting with the sponsors and the customer. This is when an important emphasis needs to be placed on keeping the customer informed and keeping the customer on track along with yourself as a project team. If that effort is done particularly well, then you move on to the planning phase, and during the planning phase you put together something called a quality plan document. And that would be the phase when you start thinking of quality planning. Quality planning at this state or at that stage will come up with requirements. They will come up with a policy. What's the vision and mission of my organization? What is the vision and mission of the customer's organization? What do we want to achieve? What are the stated and the implied needs of the customer? What are the target points? How does the end user perceive? Who are these end users? How will be using it? The conditions, the environmental conditions in certain situations for the use of the product. How often will I run my test during the project life cycle? What would be the warranties? What would be the guarantees? How will I prevent something or defects so that I do not need to go into an inspection mode after the product is developed? Remember, we are in the drawing board within the planning phase. We can actually come up with milestones for testing, and once the testing results are delivered, and if you've done well, then again that is a reason to celebrate. This would be the time that you will identify what the steps are to ensure quality during the project execution. Once we move into the execution phase, you start focusing on the quality assurance aspect. Quality assurance is what needs to be done. What kind of testing needs to be performed? What is the data? How many test cases? This is the result, ideal results. When you execute the test case, I will feed in so much of data. Depending on the kind of industry or kind of organization that you deal and work with. Quality control is obviously in the controlling phase of the project. Quality assurance is coming up with tasks or reasons or what needs to be done. Under the quality control, you will be performing some of those activities. So now you will be executing those test cases that were developed. And now I'm giving you an example of an IT kind of development or IT project. So if I continue to give you an example of an IT project, then under the quality assurance, there are several kind of tests. There are unit tests. Then there are system tests. Unit test is making sure that the modules are working perfectly in an individual, in a vacuum. Within the process or within that particular unit, there is no issue. Then you combine unit A and unit B and unit C, and now there is a system test, making sure that the execution or interaction between those three units are working well. System test. Then you do something called an integration test. Then you can do several tests, but let's cut the story short, and then you do something called an end user test. How will the user be using this data? How many times will they need to click? How many users will be able to access the data at one time? What if they type in the wrong characters? That kind of test. So, different kind of test. You plan it all out. You also put together test cases up front. Test cases need to be identified and defined, maybe in the planning or the execution phase, and then during the execution and monitoring control phase, you are running those test cases. And when you run those test cases, you need to make sure that the result that you have achieved matches the ideal result. The variances need to be recorded. If during the control phase, if something fails, then the quality assurance puts in such 2 or 3 or 5 failures or whatever the number of failures are, and goes back to the project quality control group. They try to fix the error and submit the test results back to the quality assurance. We will focus and talk about the quality assurance and the quality control group in more detail in the next lecture. So 3 processes for the project quality management, and these have the color orange because this is a color coded picture. Under the planning phase, you plan your quality. You come up with plans, you're on the drawing board, the visions you try to meet the objectives, the targets of your organization, of the customer. You get their details, what they want to achieve, what kind of accuracy are they looking for, how to minimize or eliminate any defects. So be in a preventive mode rather than try to be in an inspection mode. All the quality planning is done, and now you've completed the process of plan quality under the planning phase. Under the execution phase is performance of your quality assurance. The perform quality assurance task, that means you have defined what needs to take place, what needs to happen, and under the quality assurance you will know how many test cases need to be executed, and then quality control under the controlling phase will actually run these test cases, submit the results to the quality assurance team. They will verify and compare. If they meet the target, wonderful. If they do not meet the target, it gets sent back to the quality control. They review the results, fix the process, fix the problems, rerun the test, and give the results back to the quality assurance, and so on and so forth. Hopefully all the quality concerns are minimized or eliminated, and then you move on. So 3 processes: plan quality, perform quality assurance, and perform quality control. That is all from this lecture. A little historical perspective of where we started, why did it become important, to where we are now, and what are the guidelines that are being provided to us from project quality management perspective. In the next lecture we will focus on these 3 processes, and by putting our focus we will also emphasize the importance of assuring testing, ensuring that all test procedures are executed and no time is eliminated or minimized from the testing section. With this is Ghazala Amin. Good luck and Allah Hafiz to you, and I will see you in the next lecture with more emphasis on project quality management, another knowledge management area.